Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in today. This is Eve with Books and Budget. I am going to do a little bit of a debt overview. It's not really a debt confession necessarily. I don't feel like I have to confess anything, but a debt overview of the debt that my husband and I currently carry, as well as debt that we had paid off in the last about 2 years. Just because I think it's important for people to understand that debt payoff takes time. It's not something to be ashamed about, but being able to track these numbers for yourself allows you to see how far you've come and to ensure you are not, you don't find yourself in that position again in the future. So I will kind of walk through from 2023 to now, where we've come from, our interest rates, our current balance, and our outlook for the next few years. To give you an idea of what's to come. So to kick things off, I'm going to start with kind of an explanation of where our debt came from. My husband and I got engaged in January 2020. And so I think you can imagine where this is going. We were planning for a wedding in 2021. That did not happen. We got married officially in 2022 after postponing our date, and we incurred some costs as a result of that, pushing dates back and kind of unexpected hits to our wedding budget, simply because our vendors raised prices and, we didn't have the ability to back out of the contracts. It was a whole mess that I won't necessarily go into in detail. But we bought a house in 2021, basically, instead of getting married. So we purchased our house, actually for a pretty good deal. I know that nowadays it's really difficult to find people being able to purchase a house for under list price, but we were able to do that by a rather significant amount. And our mortgage rate is only 2.875. You'll also notice I'm not including that in here. Our mortgage is an ongoing journey. I think we owe about $190,000 on it. But it is not our top priority. Once we've addressed all 5 of these things and have been able to contribute a little bit more to savings and investments, to allow those to grow, then we'll focus on doing some additional mortgage payments each year. I'm actually still planning on doing that right now, like an additional payment to the principal, like an additional amount of like what would be 1 month. So doing like 13 months of payments instead of 12 in a calendar year. But I digress. We are not including that in here because although it is debt, that asset continues to grow for us and contribute positively to our net worth, whereas these are contributing negatively. So all that to say, let's dive into the credit card debt first and talk about where we're at moving forward. So the other thing is in terms of where the debt came from, beyond our wedding expenses, we also had an unexpected flooding occur in our house, and we did not have the emergency reserves to address the enormous cost of that. It was well over 10 grand in the flooding cost, as well as a raccoon abatement in our back room, which is like an addition on the back of our house. So it has a separate crawl space. It was a whole thing. But anyways, between those 2 massive unexpected house projects, which for the record, when we bought our house, because we did buy it below list and we did have savings, we were prepared for some expenses. We were thinking it was going to be not emergency expenses though. So, like replacing appliances and maybe a window or 2 to help with our energy costs, but instead all of our savings for the house went to addressing those immediate emergency concerns, and then some. I mean, it was basically triple the amount that we had saved, which was a pretty solid amount. I think we had about 15 to 20 grand available, and well over that went to addressing the repairs that we needed for our house. So anyways, that explains where the debt came from, if that's helpful. But moving forward, So in 2023, and for these credit cards, the most up-to-date numbers that I have are from, or the most accurate numbers I have are from June. For these, I have, more like a January 2023 number, but it's in the past anyways. So I will also give you current balance numbers. Our Chase Visa with Marriott, which is kind of like our, the one that we want to, in the future, if we're using a credit card, this is the one that we would use and pay off in full in that month. These two, the rewards aren't that special. We don't really like them, so we won't really ever use these again. I'm not sure that we'll cut them up. I don't really see the point in that, and I'll explain why, I guess, moving forward. But at least for us and for our financial situation, I don't think it's as dire of a need. But our remaining balance in June of 2023 was $3,429.90 with an interest rate of, I want to say it was 22% and change, but it was about 22%. And then our current balance is, I should have held the paper, $0. So we've paid that off in full. Once we've addressed some of our other debts, we'll go back to using this one and paying it off in full before the end of the month, so no interest accrues. Given our financial health these days, we, I'll explain it as I go forward, sorry. In June of 2023, our Capital One balance, which is Capital One, I think it's like a venture card, was $6,842.76. We ended up getting a balance transfer, so 0% interest that we paid back from June 2023 until January 2024 was our last payment on that. We basically paid like over $1,000 a month, or $1,000 a month, and I think the last payment was $842.76. But this is also paid off in full, and we're kind of glad to have that monkey off our backs now, because that was the largest amount that was accruing interest, followed by the Marriott card, but those are both paid off, so that's great. And then this card here is both me and my husband have our names on this card. The Capital One is just in my name, and then this Banana Republic Visa is just in my husband's name. So these two impact my credit, and the two like teal ones impact my husband's credit. The Banana Republic Visa, we had a balance of $2,950, and this interest rate is pretty high, actually. I think it was like 23%. We got the balance down to 0, and then this month we put a couple hundred on it for groceries, so I think the current balance is about $315, and I'm paying that off this week, so it will be 0 before the end of May. But this is, just, that was the one that we happened to use for our grocery payments, in that time. But essentially, for all intents and purposes, our consumer debt is now at 0. I don't think we're going to use the Banana in the future, just because I don't like, because this is just my husband's card. The account access, he never remembers what his password is. And it's just, it's a pain to manage. So I'm like, let's just pay this off, never have a balance on this again. Just, you can use, if you ever need more clothes, you can use it for a couple months, like 2 months leading up to it, pay it off in full, get the reward balance, whatever. But the Marriott is the one that we'll actually use, because we want to use the travel rewards for it. Anyways, okay. Green Sky is Permaseal. That's the lender that the Permaseal team used. So in 2021, when our house flooded, we had, I think it was about I want to say $10,000-ish that we had to pay them. We had to pay $4,000 in the first like 2 months or something, 4 months, in order to get a 0% interest rate loan from them. So the full like specs of it started in 2021 at 10 grand. It got to $6,000 because we had to pay that $4,000 right up front. Got to $6,000 essentially right away. And then, so I think it was $6,010 at the beginning of like March 2021. And it was it's a 60-month loan, 0% APR. We have to pay it back in full. Otherwise you'll have accrued like an insane amount of interest, probably like 30% or so. We are well on track to pay that off. More than on time. We're going to pay it off early. But the current balance sits at $1,900 and, sorry, I should have put this over here. Oops. $1,903.93. I'm putting this at 0, although like without any, 0% loan, it's not actually 0%. It's 0% if you pay it off on time. But we will do that, so it's not an issue for us. We're actually looking to do some extra payments on that this year, probably an extra $500. So yeah, I'm hoping that we can actually pay this off. I mean, we'll pay a little over $100 a month, which would mean that we have 19 months left approximately. I mean, it's maybe slightly less than that. But I'm hoping to pay it off in 12 months. So to have it paid off by this time next year, it's due end of 2025. Or excuse me, no, it's due February 2026. But I want to have it paid off by ideally May, June, July of 2025. The amount in 2023, I'm doing kind of an approximate number here, was about $3,000 this time last year. So just to give you an idea, but we have this set up with an automatic payment. So we don't really ever see the money that comes in from, from our checks. I've set this up so that it pays the same day that our check, or like one of our work checks hits. So that money is really like never in our sights. It just goes straight to them, a little over $100 a month. And I can make extra payments. And so I intend to do that this year, probably by the end of the year. I will make, I'm hoping, a $500 payment at least. And then this last thing is mom and dad. So this is a 0% interest rate because my parents are very nice, and helped us out a lot. We had to use the bank of mom and dad, which I understand. I'm very fortunate to have well-off parents who are generous, who were able to assist us when we were experiencing some of that financial need from our wedding and our house issues. But they lent us basically, I think it was a little over 10 grand to pay the balance that we needed. And now I owe them back. So the amount in 2023 was $9,938, and the current balance is $9,738. Because I'm pregnant right now, and again, my parents are very kind and are comfortable financially themselves. They have actually said, like, it's forgiven, like, you don't have to pay us back, like, it's okay. We just want we want you to be financially stable in advance of, the baby's arrival. While I appreciate that, fully intend to pay them back the amount in full and then some. I'm sort of like going to put my own little interest rate in here mentally and give them an extra probably $200 to $500 by the time it's done, just because they were so kind and were able to help us in a time of severe stress and financial need. So that's that. They don't have a time set on this as to when they expect it. In fact, they've said that they don't expect it back at all. They basically considered it a gift, but that's an insane gift. It's like that is way too high of an amount. I can't have that sitting on my conscience forever. And I know that, you know, that's, you know, they're just great parents who are, you know, we're willing to help us out, but I want it to, you know, to give back to them and, you know, eventually kind of break this number down. So once we've paid off Green Sky, I know that this is a 0% amount, but it's still, we owe it to someone who can collect on us if we don't pay it. So this is the thing that I'm actually like going to try to focus on doing extra payments for. And I'm going to pay my parents, like, my goal is like $100 a month to $500 a month moving forward as a minimum. Now that we are out of our consumer debt, we have the financial means to kind of kick a little bit towards them, a little bit more towards them. I mean, obviously we've paid them basically nothing in the last year because of, excuse me, my pregnancy and trying to pay off these debts. And they knew that. So they weren't, you know, they weren't impatient or anything. Not that they wouldn't have had a right to be, but I'm gonna focus in on that moving forward. Oops, sorry, I hit my camera. Anyways, okay, so now I'm gonna do some tallying up and calculations. I have my computer in front of me. So we're gonna do 34,29.90 plus 6,842.76 plus 29.50. So right there, just these amounts, the actual consumer debt, that amount was $13,222.66 that we fully paid off in the last year, with these two being paid off in June of 2023 to December 2023. And then if I add in the 0% amounts, we were sitting at $26,160 in debt, which was a lot. And especially it was a lot when we, you know, are homeowners who, we live in an old house and you never know when things when things are gonna go awry. And we really needed to build up some emergency savings, which we've been able to do. But yeah, it was a lot. And also to be pregnant while having this much debt was very stressful to me. I knew that we were capable of paying off these numbers based on our income, but it seemed like such a far off goal, just given, or really what I should say is it seemed like a far off goal given how much consumer debt we had and how much we were paying in interest payments, which was a few $100s a month. I think it was like $350 a month, to $500 a month, depending on which month you're looking at in 2023. I'm going to exclude this because I'm literally planning on paying this off this week, like today. But our total remaining debt, and again, this is interest-free debt, so every dollar we put towards it goes towards one of the principals, but that is $11,641 and change. So yeah, we're gonna be looking at cutting almost $2,000 off of this by the end of this, hopefully by the end of, if not this year, this time next year, and then crushing this over time. But again, my parents have been really nice, and they are not expecting it back, but I'm gonna pay it back. So that's where my head's at. So yeah, that's our debt journey of sorts. You know, everything that we're paying back moving forward, we don't accrue interest on. We're not planning on accruing interest ever again. That's the plan, to never have a balance that carries over from one month into the next. And we've been doing that for a couple months now. We paid off our consumer debt, I think in February, maybe March, and have, you know, been able, now that we're not paying minimum payments anymore or paying any of this off, we've been able to build up our savings, and to get a better budgeting system down, so that we always are conscious of, no, we don't have the money for that today. You know, this is a want, not a need. But we can save for it and get it next month or the month after or the month after that. And we're learning to be a little bit more patient with our purchases, which has been really paying off for us, literally and figuratively. And I also think it's, paying off this 13 grand it's been good for our marriage, because we haven't had, fights about finances, which we definitely did in the past, of like, I'm kind of the, I'm the tightwad, and my husband is a little bit more, spendier. There was always kind of a back and forth of him feeling guilt whenever he wanted to buy something that we wanted for our house that wasn't a necessity, but was something that we would really benefit from, that would make our lives easier in our house, and me being like, no, we don't have that money, and it would cause fights and strain, because we'd play the blame game of responsibility, and making him feel like he was irresponsible and I was a nag, and it's not healthy to have this sort of amount hanging over you. So once we kind of established a plan and paid it off, we're realizing now that it's not just our financial health that is benefiting, that we as people and as a couple are benefiting too, because we don't have that weight over us anymore and can go into things with a little bit more ease. So anyways, I digress. But that's our debt journey and our debt outlook for the coming months and coming years. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I would love to start a dialogue, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.